The next speaker is Dr. Kidong BAE, the Director of National Museum of Korea, Chair of ICOM Asia Pacific Alliance, ICOM ASPAC. Kidong BAE is also an old friend of us. He used to be the president of Korea National University of Traditional Culture, and he has been to China National Secret Museum for several times. His presentation title is Digital Technology and the Inclusiveness of Museum.
Hello, everyone, in this online forum. So I would like to especially thank to my friend in museum in China. So especially Quan Chang, who is a Deputy Director of National Heritage Administration in China, and also Liu Shugang, who is the President of Chinese Museum Association, and the Sun Rui Che, the President of China National Textile and Apparel Council, and lastly, the An Lai Shun, the Vice President of ICOM board, who is a long friend of mine, and the participant of this forum from China and from foreign countries. I would like to express my sincere thanks to my Chinese colleagues to invite me and give me time to make a presentation today. My presentation is digital technology and the inclusiveness of museums. So these topics, similar topics, you can hear in many the museum conference in many different countries. So this one is a little bit maybe different from the previous one, and this is my view about how museum adapt or recreate in the digital age. So let me start about my talk here. As many people say, this century we are facing the fourth industrial revolutions. The fourth industrial revolutions. During the last several centuries, the industry has been changed, has been developed a lot, especially during the last couple of decades. The ICT technology jumped to the modern days. Modern days technology you can see right now. So, you can see right now robot equipped with the AI in the airport, in the museums. So those kind of things, all of the in the meaningful places you can see. And the next stage of our fourth industrial revolution will be a kind of much improved robots with the AI show up in our life space. Then our life and our industry has developed a lot, but what will happen to human beings? So there are lots of efficiencies improved in the industry. However, what happened to man? There is a big question our museum professionals should have on. Now, what is the most unique value of a museum for public in future? There is a question every day, every month, the museum professional should have. Let me explain very briefly about ICT and the museums. The ICT, the most developed form is AI. AI is artificial intelligence. So that give human being great benefit, the increasing accessibility of information. So all of the world, you can contact each other and you can exchange some informations and you can get the proper information on the portals. There is a real difference from the previous world. And the AI, ICT, using those kind of technology, the increased efficiency of production per person. So in previously, many people make one things, but right now is one person make many things with the help of ICT and AI. So that is a big change in the human society, especially in industries. The problem, but it is a kind of a benefit and the good things, but we may have some problems from the such a industrial development. So less face-to-face communication among people, and the decrease in exchange of emotions between people. There is the currently ongoing, as you can see in some slide, is so people don't look each other, but they focus on the handphones. So is even in the AI technology, there are some differences between groups and between areas. So inequality and the social isolation could take place in some areas. So in our society, so there is a big problem for the human society right now. And the museum is a kind of a memory of a man's past. Is a collections housed in the museum that represent human past, and that represent the culture of man in the past, which means cultural informations. And also you can see in the collections cultural diversity. Cultural diversity, that is the expression of humanity. So those kind of contents in the museums. And also this kind of the museums, that is a kind of a social platform. A social platform means a kind of the platform, the communication, and the sharing emotions, the sharing emotions between people. So there is a current role of museums. So that helps people recovering and enriching humanity right now and in the future. So the museum professionals, we have to think about the enriching humanity at the museums, how we can do that in the ICT ages. That is a current the challenge for the museum professionals. Here you can see clearly 6 ladies in one seat, but they don't see each other. They focus seeing the handphones, and they communicate to some person and not here, but somewhere else. So there's those kind of communication and landscape, you can see often in the bus and in the streetcar and everywhere in the world. So yeah, then what is the feeling? The feeling, it is ladies, and also we can see many people in the street what they're feeling, and what they're feeling after communication through the handphones. There is our question for our the museum practice. So ICT technology we can use for the museum practices. There are a lot: artificial intelligence, and the IoT, and the blockchain, AR, VR, or cloud system. So those kind of the ICT system, ICT technology, you can use, the database and the communications and the educations for the museums. So there is a command, more and more command in the museums, and eventually all the museums wanted to build up some kind of smart museums. So smart museums, is different people. They, satisfied with the museum services individually. So the ideal museum practice in the future will be accomplished by the ICT technology. So there is a current the expectation about the ICT technology and the museums. So the ICT technology and the digital, at the museums, we can make a big data of museum contents and the visitors by using the ICT technology, and also we can make multiple and simultaneous participation and the communications, and also increase the accessibility in remote area, and also for the disabled persons, they can connect with the museums, and also they can visit physically with the help of the ICT technology. And also ICT technology in many cases right now, you can see at the museum enhance emotional appreciation of the museum contents. And also ICT technology improve the capacity of research and the preservation of museum professionals. And also even if a physical visitor to the museums, they can get some aid from the ICT system, the kind of customized and convenient visitor. So, you can get some information, the ICT technology before you're coming to the museums. So you can save your time and you can get the information what you want. So ICT technology, changed a whole lot
museum services to the public,
but there is something missing. So what is that? It's everybody can contact with the museums, but the practice is not, not lack of something. So what is that? So that is a question for my presentation. So before I go on to answer, explain about that, as I will show some slide to show how the ICT has been used for the museum practice here. Okay, there is the immersed animation for education in the exhibitions. So the conservation science process, that is a very difficult and very complicated process, but the VR shows through the VR reconstructions, people can easily understand how it happened. It has been made. So and also the images of contents, you can see very fantastic view of the heritage contents. So it's people can appreciate the image, and they can get some stronger image of heritage through the ICT technology. And the education too, use ICT technology help the interactive appreciation of the heritage images here, and also the immersed display. The contents of this one is the Diamond Mountains in Korea. So it's with the National Museum reconstructed in the immersed display here. So people delighted to be in the hall to see the Diamond Mountains. So whole lot of fantastic the images provided to the public, and also very convenient to the people. But we need to think about some other things too. So inclusiveness, as I told you in the beginning, the ICT technology, we have some good things, ICT technology, but we have some problems in the human society due to development of ICT technology. So very individualism in society. So people, they do not exchange emotionally more open than before. So yes, that's a problem. So we, right now the increasing people living together with a different background of culture, background of nationality. So there is a current situation of society. So what museum can do for that? So, so museum should be a kind of a core of global citizens. So we can see lots of cultural diversity in collections, so which represent a kind of pluralism in the museum. So a museum should be a kind of a platform for social sustainability, unity in diversity but is a kind of a single society. That is the objective of a museum practice in these days. So how can we do that? So, the ICT technology helps to improve our practice for the social society, the improving the social sustainability in the future. So that is the ICT technology help us a lot to enhancing the accessibility to the museums. So through the improved accessibility, we may have lots more chance to sharing information, not only information, but the emotional exchange that give kind of healing for the people who who does not have lots of the real contact with some other people. Yeah, so there is a kind of humanity in the environment at the museums. So ICT technology provide a good chance to improve accessibility of people to museum and provide some kind of chance to get together at the museums. So museum should be inclusive social platform for everyone. So you can see that some people show up at the museum, the different ethnic groups and disabled persons, disabled child here, and there are lots of different the groups, but they're different cultural background together. So such a kind of gatherings and the physical the togetherness that is very important for the human society, human emotions. So the ICT technology help us to do this one, and this picture shows ICT technology helps the accessibility in remote areas. So people in remote areas, they could not come to the museums often, but through the ICT technology, they can get some information and they could make some friend through this one ICT technology, and they can communicate more often after this one. So there is a kind of sharing information and feelings, and also AI technology can lift off the barriers of visitor accessibility for some persons. So enhancing the accessibility of some person, a child, or some disabled, or some the old age person who is not get used to the ICT technology. So that is a good thing. However, the most important thing for the museum is a physical presence at the museum. Physical experience is the most valuable experience of museums than the other styles. Other styles means the visiting by ICT technologies. So physical experience, that is have a chance to much more deepen our memories of the museums, and also the literacy, museum literacy increased in society, which means sharing the knowledge and sharing the feelings among the people, and if they can increase the social relatedness among the friend, some peoples, and also this kind of we give some people, emotional stability. So museum should be a kind of palace of object. There's a museum, but a palace of visitors too. So we have to create some kind of the very comfortable environment at the museum, which enrich our emotional communications, and also they can give some people refreshment in the museum for their lives. So museum should be very lovely place, and a place really wanted to come. So yeah, there are some phrases proposed by the museum professionals. So you can see that, and how we we should build up the museum physical natural environment for our visitors. So if you have more people to come to a museum, the people have a good memory of museums that empower the museums. So I think VR, virtual reality and the natural reality together for listening, speaking, sharing, feeling at the museum. That kind of a museum practice should be more and more in future. So I would, make a kind of a word as a hyper museum in the future. And many thanks. Thank you for your listening. Thank you very much.